Okay, folks, Andrew Bopros here. Well, we've got quite a few names that we want to discuss today. Undrafted free agents, it's the offensive line and the offensive players in particular I want to go into. So I just want to just applaud, slow clap these guys right here. I think they've done such a great job. And even really the undrafted free agents that I did research on have done a good job of potentially filling out and pushing the existing players we have on this roster. Again, I think we have 87 players right now. So we have a few positions that are potentially still open. So I'm excited to see what happens. And these guys are doing a great job of bringing in additional talent, making people compete for these roles that we have open for this team. Folks, a lot to talk about, guys. So let's get
Bull Bros.
Okay, folks, as always, like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. I'm Andrew Bopros. And again, this video is going to be a little longer and have a lot of information. So again, I can't say enough about these guys. They've done a great job of working together as a team, showing leadership, and really just, trying to bring in the best competition for the rest of this team as well, and pushing these veterans as well. Now that the veterans know, hey, look, man, you got to show you can do this, right? It's a regime change. We are changing. We want to win. You need to prove it. You need to prove that you were in the spot. So a lot to discuss about that. Interesting news. Marquez ValdesScandling is in the house today. I was actually hoping we might get some information about him potentially being signed, but nothing has been said. This is another good example. I think if we sign him, it's going to be, we're done on the wide receiver room. But again, having two veterans in there was a good thing. You can't understate the fact that having a veteran is really important. Do I think we signed Marquez ValdesScandling? Well, he's there now, right? So they're probably trying to give him or convince him to take a little bit of a smaller contract, give him a one-year contract. Again, look, the guy's got plenty of upside. And, you might be asking yourself, well, we got so many damn wide receivers. Why do we need another one? Look, wide receivers get hurt. Players get hurt. You want depth. And that's what we're trying to accomplish here. I like the signing. If we can get him cheap, I think it's a good sign. So we'll see what happens. Again, we'll see if he gets signed. We'll do a video immediately and get that out shortly. So let's go through some statistics really quickly. A lot of people keep asking, well, why do we pick Joe Alt? Okay, this is 5 years of essentially protection ratings, offensive line play ratings, all the above. Look at the Chargers. We are literally almost dead last. Okay, that is bad, folks. 25th in the league in 2019, 32nd in the league. That's dead last in 2020, folks. Dead last. There's only 32 teams. Woo! 15. Okay, a little bit of a bright spot. 2021, 2022, 28th, and 2023, 29th. We averaged 25.8. Now, again, look at the top teams: 49ers, Ravens, Eagles, Packers, Chiefs, Cowboys, Browns. Are you seeing a trend? Folks, we need to focus on the offensive line. I think Joe Alt really will at least solidify that line. I'm going to talk about the line initially to begin with, okay? So there's a lot to be said about that. There are a ton of players that we have picked up in undrafted free agents that could potentially make the team as, a practice squad player. But again, they're going to be there for depth, and that's really about it. Very interesting to see how it plays out with these guys. Again, physical, folks. The word is physical. And we need to get ourselves back up here, right? So I'm really hoping we have a bounce back year and we're like at least top 10, and let's just show an upward trend. I think Joe Alt will help with that, but I think sliding players around. I really do think there's going to be a lot of interoperability with a lot of these players that we have on this team. So very curious to see how that plays out. We'll talk more about that as it progresses, but just understand our team, our offensive line needs to improve. Our play has been, fourth worst in the league for the past, 5 years. That's pretty bad, folks. So, the mentality of the Chargers moving forward is going to change. So let's talk about some of these guys. App State, gentleman by the name of Bucky. Golly, and I'm going to kill his name here. Bucky. Oh my goodness. Williams. Yeah. App State. Now he's been a bit of a journeyman, right? He's 6'2", 304 pounds, but Bucky is an interesting guy. He's a bit small for an offensive lineman. Center. He's played a lot of positions. Again, he went to Austin Peay College and then transferred to App State. He played pretty much every position except center, but was primarily a right guard in 2 seasons as a Mountaineer. So again, all Sun Belt Conference, 6 years senior, 2023 after starting 14 games as a captain in a right guard spot. So Again, footwork's a little choppy. You can kind of go back and forth a little bit on him all day and start talking about, where he's good, where he's bad. But, there's a lot to be said about him. I do think that he's, a good depth piece. And the whole point is, guys, you bring him in, see what he does, and you go from there, right? You don't have to have anything figured out all at once, but it's important to bring in and have some competition. Again, I do think that, McFadden can be a center. We got Hines still. There's a lot of people there. But again, Bucky Williams started 34 games over 3 seasons. Again, he's played both guard spots and some tackle over his 5-year college, experience. So a lot to be said about him specifically. Interesting to see. I think he's a bit of a odd shot to make the team just because of his size, but who knows? We'll see. I think this guy has a pretty good shot, right? Gentleman from Michigan, as you can tell, right? Karsen Barnhart, guard from Michigan. Again, we got Junior Colson and we got Cornelius Johnson. Those are the only two. This guy is an undrafted free agent, but he started 15 games on the offensive line for Michigan's, 8 starts at right tackle. So he's been a bit of a journeyman as far as like where he's been up and down the line. But again, Dan Brugler has him as a bit of a Swiss Army knife. You're going to notice a lot of these players have played a lot of different positions on the offensive line. And you want that, right? If you're a depth piece, let's say we start having a lot of problems at right guard for some reason, or right tackle, hopefully not right tackle, but you want people that can fill in the gap, right? And step up and be that guy. But again, he's been described as a Swiss Army knife. Offensive line in 2023, he started 2 games at left guard in 2021. Doesn't have any dominant traits. This is what Dan Brugler said about him, but will help him stand out in the NFL. But again, he's a functional skill set and prefers to play in a physical brand of football, which is exactly what the Chargers want, right? So we'll see. I think he's a bit of a Swiss Army knife. We'll see. Clearly, hey, Michigan did well with the Michigan's Wolverines, so we'll see if he gets a spot, right? But again, Swiss Army knife. We'll go from there. Another guy here. This is a mountain of a man right here. This guy is freaking Gantic. So let me talk about him. Tyler Smith, offensive tackle, Western Carolina, 6'6", like 310 pounds, 33.5-inch arms. Smith frame. I mean, good. He's an NFL tackle, but he went to Western Carolina, the Catamounts, right? Not exactly competition like at the SEC level or anything like that. So he's going to have to show that he can compete at a high level, right? Again, all team, all Southern California, or all Southern Conference selection 2023. He'll compete for a spot in the practice squad. We'll see what happens. Again, I do think there's going to be a bit of rotation. The interesting thing about this, we've drafted 5 offensive linemen, right? And again, there's a lot to be said about that and who's going to make a spot, who's not going to make a spot. But this guy has the size. So if he can show some athleticism, I truly believe he might make a spot on the team. I mean, look at this dude. Dude is gigantic, right? And again, can he show his footwork? Can he, his hand placement, all the above, right? Clearly, Jim Harbaugh, he's already said if he can start 6 tackles, he would. This guy's a tackle. This guy's an absolute bruiser. So, we'll see if he can actually show it on the field, and we'll go from there. Another guy from Campbell Camels. Say that 100 times fast. Interesting gentleman. I do think he has an opportunity to potentially. This guy's gigantic as well. I mean, just can you see a theme, guys? Can you see a theme that clearly Jim Harbaugh likes big bodies? Tyler McClellan, offensive tackle from Campbell Camels. Boy, I say that 100 times fast. Interestingly, he's been a bit of a journeyman. He's been all over the place. He's been playing football since 2017. Initial red shirt, missed the entire 2018 season, and 4 games in the 2022 seasons with an injury. Again, he has started since 2022, 30 straight games, and named Big all Big South once, the second team twice. McClellan's a towering 6'7", 321-pound offensive tackle. Gigantic dude. But again, he played at Campbell Camels, right? Not exactly the, biggest, best, divisions, right? Not SEC or anything like that, right? But he's definitely somebody that could potentially, show the size. Folks, size does matter when you're talking about offensive linemen, right? I do think that him specifically be on this team, if he can show a bit of size and a bit of physicality, then he'll have an opportunity to make this team on the practice squad. I have no doubt, right? But he's also quite tall, plays guard. It'd be interesting to see where McClellan fits. look, anyways, they're the Fighting Camels. We'll see what happens. Brevin Allen, who we drafted last year as an undrafted free agent edge rusher from Campbell Camels, is still technically on the team now. We'll see if he can make the squad. Also, gentleman from TCU, this guy, Willis Patrick, guard from TCU. It's a bit of a journeyman as well, right? After spending 4 seasons in Division II Angelo State in Texas, transferred to Jackson State in 22 season, and then was transferred to TCU. Again, 12 games at right guard for the Horned Frogs, right? So clearly he knows what he's doing, right? Interesting guy, good size. I think he's 6'3", 219 pounds, a 79.5-inch wingspan. Dude could fly to Guam with that wingspan. I'm telling you right now, man, this guy's just big, right? So are you seeing the theme? Are you seeing the theme? It's just 6'3", 300, big guys, man. But again, it's going to boil down to footwork. Is he going to be physical, a sturdy player with patient hands, good balance? Patrick has issue with his pad level and quickness. This is some of the pros and cons. He's only ever played right guard, which we all know that, hey, look, Rashawn Slater's playing there. Or no, sorry, Rashawn Slater's not playing there. It's Zion Johnson's playing there. But again, we'll see. He's going to be back up. He's going to be competing for a spot on the practice squad. So we'll go from there. But again, I think he's a good depth piece. You get a guy like this in to bring him in to see if he can be a person on the practice squad. So we have some injury issues, he can step in and start playing. One of the probably the most exciting people on this draft list is Zack Hines, tight end from South Dakota State. He's a jackrabbit, right? Pretty exciting. Look, I think this guy probably has a pretty good shot of even potentially making the 53-man roster, and I'll tell you why. He's a big ass tight end, and that's really 90% of why, right? Do I think he'll really make the team? Well, the one guy that we might lose is Stone Smart. Stone Smart is, again, a converted wide receiver or a quarterback, and now he's playing tight end. But this guy, Zack Hines, is so Stone Smart. I just don't think he's really going to be the guy that could potentially be the really Jim Harbaugh type of guy. But Zack Hines, tight end from South Dakota State, 6'6", 260 pounds. Dude's a beast, right? Again, Will Dissly, about the exact same size. Hayden Hurst, about the same size. 6'6", big dude. I think he could have a shot of making it. Donald Parham, I don't know. His blocking is not good. Stone Smart's blocking is not good. So we'll see. I think there's a good chance, but we also got Ben Mason, who Ben Mason is also a fullback and tight end. So we'll see how that plays out as well, too. Very good hands, by the way. Very good hands. A lot of people said he had the best hands on the team, for South Dakota State last year. Hines has capped potential as a pass catcher, Brugler says, but he offers size and competitiveness to fit in the rotation of the Y for a team. He runs, again, this is the point, right, guys? For teams that run heavy 12 and 13 personnel packages, he's a perfect fit, which is exactly what the Chargers are going to do. This is where Donald Parham and Stone Smart really are going to have to show something in camp, because this guy can fit in very well. I just truly believe he has an opportunity. I'll even do a larger video for him if you really want to learn more about this guy. But I do think he's probably, of most of these offensive players, I think he's probably has the best option of potentially making the team. So Zack Hines, South Dakota State, one to watch for sure. Interesting guy right here as well, too. This gentleman right here from Augustana, folks. Dane Brugler's 60th ranked quarterback in the 2024 class. His name is Casey Bauman from Augustana, South Dakota, right? Very interesting, right? He transferred to Division II Augustana from South Dakota prior to the 2022 season. He threw for 160 yards, 43 touchdowns, and 19 interceptions in 2 seasons as a starter for the Vikings. He's a Canadian. We won't hold that against him, but this dude is gigantic, 6'6", 230 pounds. He's the same size as Justin Herbert. Again, long shot to make the squad. We'll see how it plays out. But again, I think he's really there to be pushing Max Duggan on the depth chart. I think there's a shot he can make it. Who knows? You always want to bring people in. You get 90 players to bring in. You want all of them to be pushing the people there, so they get their mind right, and they're actually going to be focusing on their craft of actually doing a good job. But again, he completed 61% of his passes, threw for about 4,100 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions. I think he's been brought in because he's a large body. I think they just want to get some more reps with him as well, too. So, again, there's something to be said about him specifically. But, again, he does run the ball fairly well. Also, a big body. Yeah, we'll see what happens. So, another guy. This gentleman right here from Georgia Tech. Kind of an interesting tight end type prospect. I don't know that we have a really good shot. His name's Luke Benson, tight end from Georgia Tech. Interesting guy. He's pretty fast, right? In 3 seasons, he was at Syracuse and 2 at Georgia Tech. He's been playing for 5 years. Didn't have a lot of receptions, right? Not a whole lot of production, right? 37 career receptions, more of a blocking guy. 430 yards, 5 touchdowns. But it has an intriguing combination of speed and size. So again, he ran a 4.52, which is pretty damn fast, guys, and bench press 225 pounds 20 times at Georgia Tech's pro day. Bit of an inconsistent receiver, but he does block very solidly. So I would pick him up with the idea of him being really a good, don't expect him to be the next Travis Kelce or anything like that. But again, we'll see what he can do. The whole blocking conversation is very important for this team. He'll compete for a role in special teams for the Chargers, but we'll go from there. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him specifically. Another guy. This guy's an interesting one. I've liked what I've seen with him, but Jaelen Gill from Fresno State. Interesting guy. He was originally at Ohio State, very high recruit. And he, by the way, he picked Ohio State over Jim Harbaugh's Michigan Wolverines, recruited by Jim's son, Jay. Again, things did not work out in Columbus, transferred to Boston College. Then he finished at Fresno State with the Bulldogs. Interesting guy, though, right? Good wide receiver, decent size. Again, there's a lot to be said. He finished with 49 receptions and 516 yards and 6 touchdowns. So again, I think kind of the third option at the Bulldogs between Eric Brooks and Jalen Moss. I don't know. Again, adding more competition for the wide receiver room. He does do a lot in special teams. He'll add some competition for the return game. Again, in 2022. The seventh highest kick return average in the ACC, and returned 49 kicks for the last 2 seasons. So again, bit of a depth piece. We'll see what happens at wide receiver, but a guy, that again was such a high recruit out of high school. I guess teams are going to try and give them a shot, so we'll see what Jaylen Gil can do. And again, if we sign another wide receiver, that'd be 12 wide receivers on this team. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of competition, but again, I think that's exactly what Jim Harbaugh wants. He wants people to be pushed. Interesting other prospect here, another wide receiver from Ohio State, Leon Johnson from Oklahoma State. I love this photo. He's sitting on an actual horse, which I think is absolutely amazing. But he was a graduate transfer from a Division III George Fox in Oregon, right? So pretty tall guy, 6'5", 210 pounds. He was Johnson Brugler's 69th ranked wide receiver. So he's got height. He's got some decent speed. Overall, very average, but again, he's got the height, he's got the speed. So, decent speed, not the most amazing speed, as we all know. But again, Johnson was initially planning to redshirt in 2023 and then return to Oklahoma State in the 2024, but injuries thrust him into the lineup. So he was pushed a little sooner than expected, but he did well. He did start 7 games. And he plays third on the team with 539 receiving yards. So a bit of a work in progress. We'll see what happens, but he's also been a special teamer as well too. Blocked 5 kicks. We'll see what happens with him as well too. And again, guys, when you start talking about undrafted free agents, really and truly it's depth. You're trying to just push people and go from there. The other thing too, is it gives them the opportunity to have our coaching staff understand them a little bit deeper and wider. Can't keep all 90, but we'll go from there. But this guy has some definite speed. We shall see. Another guy from ECU, kind of an interesting dude here, Jaylen Johnson, wide receiver from East Carolina University. Harbaugh and company are familiar with Johnson from Michigan's 2023 game in ECU against ECU. As you can see, he played against them. where he had 3 receptions for 30 yards. Former walk-on at Georgia, Johnson transferred to ECU in 2022 for an opportunity to play more offense more frequently. The 2 seasons with the Pirates, Johnson had 71 receptions for 806 yards and 6 touchdowns. He ran a 4.53 40-yard dash at Georgia's Pro Day in March. Experience in the slot and the outside. Pretty interesting guy. Really interesting. A lot of people think he's a lot like Terrell Bynum that we have or we had from last year. We shall see. But again, a bit of a depth piece on the practice squad. Jaylen Johnson, East Carolina. And bottom line, guys, I just want to wrap up my general thoughts here and just say, I know this video is already 20 minutes long, much longer than I wanted it to be. Again, George Ortiz has done such a great job with this and bringing in some extra people that can push these players to get the most out of them. Folks, at the end of the day, undrafted free agents have an opportunity, right? Again, we all know Austin Eckler made the team as an undrafted free agent. But I think really the main guy that I think Zack Hines, the tight end, I think he has a good opportunity. Maybe the guard from Michigan has an opportunity as well, too. And again, Jim Harbaugh loves these tackles. I can see those guys. If they can start showing that they can start playing guard, maybe be a little bit different, maybe there'll be somebody that they can have, on the practice squad, they can develop a little more, get them there, and see what they can do, folks. This team is going to be physical. They want big bodies. They want fast bodies, and they want to just move people. So longer video, folks. As always, Andrew Bopro. See you guys in the next one.